Hello, welcome everybody. I'm here with my friend Alejandra, who is my sister in Christ, and we both had it in our heart to share about talking about perseverance. How did we persevere throughout the year last year, and how we're persevering today? And the main topic for both of us is grief. That is a big one for us, and we felt like we needed to share this because grief is something that a lot of people go through, whether they lose somebody or whether they lost somebody in a divorce, whatever that may be for you. Grief is a roller coaster, and it's something hard that people deal with, and sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. So we want to share our experience talking about grief and how do we persevere through grief. So that's why we're here. Alejandra, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me and for sharing this experience with you. And I hope that someone out there will take from this and they're not alone and they can always reach out.
Exactly. And I love that I'm here with Alejandra because off camera, we always have good, fun, joyful conversations all the time. Like, it's so uplifting to talk to each other. It's so uplifting when I talk to you. Like, I love it. Because we just have fun. And then we get deep.
We're always laughing. So
yeah,
we're laughing to a minimum so that you guys can actually hear us. But if we just have a laughing moment, just laugh
randomly. I love it so much. I do love that. So about persevering through grief. What I'm getting right now is like it comes through stages. And the only way we could share is by our experience. So the way I went through grief was I lost my grandma October 1st, which was very hard. She was like my mom. And Alejandra, if you want to explain yours.
Yes, I lost my mom last month. So it's really fresh still. And as I'm going through grief and in the process, Judith had gone through the process first. And we were actually there for her. We have a Lifecoach Jesse that helps us through all of this, and we go to, and I'll explain more how he helped me when I reached out to him. But I remember, Judith, when you were going through it, she was in the hospital with her grandma, and I remember calling Judith, and I was just there with her and praying for her. And I think we did a prayer for your grandma, huh?
We definitely did, and we even worshiped together with my grandma. And my grandma, like, I grew up her just always praying. Like, I guess she was a prayer warrior too as well. I'm like, what is she saying? I'm just kidding. But yeah, and that was nice to see, and it gave me peace. Aside from other things that my grandma believed in, or what I knew she believed in Christ. Like, that was like my main goal. And they gave me peace when Alejandra prayed for her, when we worshiped together. And then the most memorable one I have is when we were singing Levanto mis manos cuando no tenga fuerza. And my grandma lifted him. I was like, Ándale, mom, levanta los manos. And she actually looked like, as weak as she was, as sick as she was, and she was still a little attentive, she rose them up. So that gave me peace, just knowing that God was in the room. God was working through you to get to me, even with Jesse as well. Like, both of you prayed over me, over my grandma, and that was really nice. It was really, really nice. It gave me a lot of peace and joy. And even though through the trial, I still had peace. So that's what I went through.
Yeah.
And going to you, Alejandra, I feel like God works in the divine appointment, right? Like, everything is perfect. And even though this was a hard trial that we all went through, I feel like God was preparing you for what you're going through me, you know, like my grandma was like my mom to me. Like, she was my second mom, and I grew up with her the whole time. So it's like you went through it with me. And like, if you want to talk about it.
I did. I remember visiting my mom. My brother had called me, and it was a Tuesday before she passed. And I'm sorry, it's a little hard to talk about, but it was a Tuesday before she passed, and I went and took her and spent some time with her. She drank coffee, she ate graham crackers, and I said, Mom, I want to pray for you. And her hands were like this, okay? She's older, and she grabbed my hand, and I said, I'm going to pray for you. She was okay, but she took over the prayer, and she prayed for all her children, for God to protect them and bless them, for all her grandchildren and her whole line of family. And she turned, and then she stopped, paused, and she did the sinner's prayer. Little did I know, okay, that was the last time my mom would speak. Yeah. And I got to share that with my family.
And the thing about Alejandra's mom and my grandma, they were both in hospice. Like during this time that Alejandra prayed for my grandma, and then she was talking about her mom, they were both in hospice. So they're basically decaying little by little.
Yeah, they were in a lot of suffering, and it's not easy to see a loved one go through that, because you just want to save them and take them with you, but it's all in God's hands. And see, that's where peace comes in, because I put it into prayer. I remember I went to work that night, and like Judith, and I called Coach Jesse, and I broke down with Jesse. This is happening, because, Jesse's talking. I'm like, no, Jesse, listen to me. This is really happening, And you know what Jesse told me, and it clicked? He says, Nina, he's all, prepare yourself. Record her voice. Make those moments count. Take pictures. Get ready for the call when it happens. And I hadn't thought about this. And he prayed, and he said, give Alejandra peace and comfort when she gets that call, that information. And I didn't think about that. So guess what? When that actually happened, my brother called me at 2 a.m, a week after, and it happened. I took a deep breath. I walked over to my little couch right here. I sat down, I started crying, but I was rejoicing because I know that heaven had received my mom. Yeah. And there's that, rejoicing of life, celebration of life. But I did cry, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And so we share that, it's hard. So prepare yourself. If you've lost a loved one, I pray that you had made your peace, but take it to God. If they're going through that, record their voice, take pictures, say your piece, say what you have to say so that they can rest in peace. So,
also, even through that midst of trial, enjoy the moment. Like, enjoy every moment you have with them. Don't feel guilty of what you didn't do or whatever, because I experienced that with one of my cousins who took it the hardest. We all took it hard, but he took it the hardest because he felt guilty over some things. I'm like, you did the very best you could. She was 94 years old. Like, she lived a glorious life. Like, how awesome is that, right? But enjoy that moment. Even through that trial, just being there with them. Or even if you're out of town and you can't be there with them, check up on them by calling someone else to see, like, work it out if you can.
Yes. Yeah, make it count, because, there's obviously some family members, no names, right? Family members that were taking it really hard. And I don't know what was going through their minds, but I'm assuming that they probably were regretting stuff, you know what I mean? And the ones that took the time when we were just like calm and peaceful and, and let her go,
Yes.
So yeah, grief is not an easy process for anybody. And on that subject as well, there's been, I'm sure on your side too, Judith, that there's been a lot of COVID people that have passed. So yeah, it's not the year of 2021 is behind us now. But how do you cope with that? Who do you go to? Who do you talk to? People that have actually gone through it, people that are going to see you through it. And we're Christian faith. So, I mean, that's who I take all my worries and my burdens, first of all. And my number one is I take it to God. And if people look at me like, man, you have a good life, you're always smiling. Oh, hun, if you only knew, like, survived COVID, survived surgery.
Oh, yeah. Okay. While your mom was in the hospital.
While she was in the hospital, okay, I was getting cut open. Survived other surgeries. It was for me to just throw in the towel and said, I'm done. Like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, I'm done.
And you still showed up. No matter what. But that's the thing. Like, another thing that comes up is, like, it's okay to feel not okay. Like, I know it's like with Alejandra and I, we have in common, like, it's kind of hard for us to feel vulnerable in front of someone else. Like, even me in front of Alejandra, or even in front of my parents or something, it's hard for me to be vulnerable. I don't want them to see me cry. Like, don't feel sorry for me, you know, but you know what? It's okay. Like, we got to be vulnerable and get through it. It's the only way to get through it.
I'm glad you brought that up, Judith, because I am the perfect example of not being vulnerable. Because I'm the mom. I'm the so hopefully one day soon to be grandma. I'm the one that does it all and handles the household, and I work, and it's just me, right? And so to be vulnerable, I remember you told me and you texted me, because I remember I was like through that phase where I didn't want to talk to me.
I was in that phase too, yeah.
Yeah, Judith went through it too, but she texted me and I was like reading the text, and you said it's okay, take time for yourself. And I didn't show up, and then I kind of like read the words, but I didn't really take it in until later. I'm like, she's right. So I took that time for myself and just kind of took the time and
you have to
processed what I was feeling, cried it out, took a drive, whatever it was. I actually planted some plants. As a matter of fact, Judith sent me a gift, and it had a little succulent, and I was
hugging a mug.
It was hugging a mug, yeah. and when I opened the box, it was prayed for me for that. And I remember just getting the succulent, and it was just healing because I replanted it, and it was just I don't know. I never plant and replant plants, but that day I was doing that because my mom loved to do that.
Yeah.
So I found things to do to what's the word? I found things to just
cope with it.
Cope with it. Yeah. So find things that you love that you can cope with, and maybe it's something you and your loved one used to do
together. Find joy in that moment. Yes. And what did your loved one love? Like, enjoy that. Like for me, like through persevering through all that, I found joy and just living in the moment and just being with like grieving together with my family. Like just being in the same room, in the same house, just being there, not even saying anything was just so therapeutic and coping. Like that's how I coped with it as well. But I also had to take time for myself because I also isolated myself to a T, because I know when I isolate myself, man, that enemy gets in, you know, like, no, I love being around people. I do. And especially some know who whatever I'm going through and they get it, then I love being around them too, you know? So just enjoy the moment wherever you're at and just be in the moment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back, family is therapeutic, even though I hadn't seen them in years. And it
still
was
nice.
Oh, wow. Hi, how are you? You know, and we got to share a moment. You remember, mom said this, or mom threw that shoe at you, or just like that. The memories and the love will never go away. They're always going to be here.
Yes.
And just know that, you know, but it's time. God calls them home, and it's time to go home. And we can't control that. And that's where people don't let go. And we got to let that go in order for us to move on and be happy.
I heard somewhere where a lot of God blamed, where a lot of God I said that totally wrong, where a lot of people blame God, like, for why did you take my loved one away? But I heard it through Toby Mac, because he's grieving. He's a singer, he's a Christian singer, and he's grieving his son. And he said God never promised us that there would be no pain, but he did promise us that he will always be there, you know? He said it a totally better way, but God promised his presence, him always being there for us through the trial, through the praying. So that's why, like, go to him through everything you go through, you know?
Definitely. He will definitely see you through.
Yes.
I remember I had to get a hold of God, and I told him, hey, okay, my mom's gone, obviously, right? Maybe this is another story, but I was adopted, and my mom raised me, and she did a great job, and that's the only mom I'll ever know.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, all right, God, like, now what?
Yeah.
And he said, and this is what I heard: your mom lived 88 years, and she served the Lord, and she lived her life, and she did the best of it. And she taught you how to live life. And now it's time for me to take the torch and keep going.
Yeah.
So I have to live life through God, right? God lives through me, and it's my turn to raise my son, and now my daughter-in-law, and the corgi, and the little
So cute.
my grand doggies.
I love it. I have 3 doggies of my own, no kids, but those are my kids. And like you're saying, like I look at my grandma's life, and like, man, she came from Mexico with, like, it's cliche, right? But she really did come with nothing. She was a housekeeper. She raised her 4 kids on her own. She had a son that passed while she was young still. Like, my mom lost a brother, and if she could persevere through that, then I can too, whatever like life throws at me, you know, as long as I keep God centered, as long as I keep my focus and value on God, on Jesus. If there's any last words, Alejandra, we could always make a part 2 if you guys like this. But anything you want to share before we go?
Is it that time already, man? Time flies.
It did fly. I was like,
really? Wow, I thought we were like on 10 minutes.
Are we? I maybe. I don't know.
I lost track of time.
We could make a part 2. When it comes to it, we could make a part 2.
If you guys are want to ask questions as to or more of the story, whatever it is that you're interested in, ask questions. And but no, just remember, if you're going through that, reach out. You're not alone. Judith is in Texas. I'm in California, and we became friends through coaching. So we
never met each other in person. Like,
no,
we just Zoom.
She's gonna come visit. So
yes. I need
we
to.
Can do
we are gonna do it together.
Okay.
In the physical. And one last thing before we go, also get therapy, whatever works for you. Like, for me, works life coach. For Alejandra, works life coach, and that's our life coach Jesse. But whatever works for you, do it. Talk to somebody you trust. And there's grief counselors that I know. I never knew that until I started grieving. Yeah.
Church, reach out to a church, pastors. I definitely recommend our life coach Jesse, because it's just a one-on-one. He's a Christian life coach.
He's been through grief as well.
He's been through a lot of grief. So definitely, guys, I think that's all I have to say.
So let us know if you want a part 2. I'm just kidding. But thank you for joining us. We just wanted to share a little bit about how we persevered last year, how we're still persevering now. And basically, we're just living in the moment, enjoying life, and persevering through every trial. And just know, with every trial, it won't lock you down. It's growth. You're going to grow from it. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Alejandra, for always having good conversations with me. Always. Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.